Hey folks, my name is Dave. Welcome to our shop here at NTD Racing, where we are finishing up all the details we need to do to get this truck down to Ensenada, Mexico for the Baja 1000. We'll be down there in about 24 hours, and one of the last things I had to do was get our winch mounted onto our trailer. And as I was doing that, I realized that there are a lot of the things that we were using I get from Harbor Freight, which I think is right in line with the theme of this team. It's just that you don't have to go buy the most expensive thing to pursue your dreams. If you want to build a truck like this, which I built for about $20,000, you can do it as long as you're willing to do it yourself. So with that, I'm going to ask that you consider hitting the like and subscribe, ringing the bell for notification of future episodes, or leaving us a comment, and that definitely helps us out. Let's go ahead. I'm going to show you the problem and we'll get to the build. All right, it is Harbor Freight's part time. This is our trailer for our Honcho. It's a little bit beaten up. We'll get a new one sometime later. But in the meantime, we need to put a winch on the trailer. I got these parts. So this Badland ZXR 1200 or 12,000, man, that thing's huge. This thing's pretty badass. It pulls a lot, but we need to put this thing on the trailer, and I have it hooked up to this other part you can get from Harbor Freight to make it to where it'll go into a trailer hitch. I got this thing from Harbor Freight, which I wasn't planning on using for this, but it actually will work out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this thing up into my trailer. I'm gonna cut the end off over here, weld it in over here, again with our Harbor Freight welder. And what I'm gonna do is bring this thing in, I'm gonna radius this and weld it to this top tube, and then it should be pretty good and durable. I will also get on my plasma cutter, my Langmuir Systems Crossfire XR, and I'm gonna go ahead and make some brackets here just to shore this thing up laterally, and I think this will be plenty strong to be able to pull the truck up onto the trailer. Let's go ahead and get to it. All right, I like cutting with an angle grinder. I'm always impressed by what you can do with an angle grinder, but I'm more impressed on what you can do with a plasma cutter. And so here is me getting onto Fusion 360 to make some parts for this build. And I don't like to show the full thing. If you want to see the full Fusion 360 and how I get this part ready to go, check out the end of the video, and I'll let you watch me fumble all the way through CAD to get this part ready to go on the Langmuir Systems Crossfire XR. All right, so this here is the Langmuir Systems Crossfire XR, and if you watch most of my videos, what I do is I make parts for my desert race truck, and this time our trailer, with this plasma table. I just put it together. I have a whole video series of putting it together and doing a couple modifications to it to work better in my shop. If you're interested in one of these, you'll be amazed at how much you can get one of these in your shop, or the Crossfire Pro. You can check it out at www.ntdracing.com. You can click down on the image of the plasma cutter, or in the description of this there is also a link. I think it'll get you about a $100 discount on a Crossfire Pro, and sometime in the future hopefully a discount also on the Crossfire XR. Check it out. Like I said, I have a bunch of tools in my shop that are just Harbor Freight. This press brake, and I'm using this Swag Off-Road press brake attachment. So the press comes from Harbor Freight. My engine hoist, my cherry picker, it comes from Harbor Freight. And if you look all around my shop, there's just a bunch of stuff. And some of their tools are just great, and I've been using them for years. All right, so we're going to do some MIG welding here. So I'm going to try and get most of the paint off and the rust off and that kind of stuff. But, I don't necessarily clean stuff up as much as I do if I'm going to TIG weld. I try to get most stuff off. And looking back, I probably could have gone over here with some acetone to get a little bit more of the residue off. So I think it made some impurities in the weld, but it's a trailer, so I'm not too worried about it. But we'll go ahead and get to the welding with this Omni Pro 220. It's the multi-process welder from Harbor Freight. And I already have one video out with some initial tests, and then here's me just kind of putting it to the test with some I think some real world welds where it's a little bit dirtier material. It's outside. I'm using a bottle of CO2 as opposed to a mixed bottle of CO2 and argon. And just seeing how it lays down, welds when you're going to be out there in the field and that kind of stuff, especially when we're going to be out there in the desert of Mexico. And I think it did a pretty good job. All right, here's a quick look at how the Harbor Freight Vulcan Omni Pro multi-process welder worked. I think it did a really good job, a pretty good weld. Now, I was welding through some paint and everything, so not great. Also, my first time welding with just CO2 on this thing into 3/16 and also 1/4 inch, so I was running some pretty high heat. I think it did an all right job. Again, I always like TIG welding better, but sometimes you have to MIG weld. And some of my MIG welds look good, and sometimes I don't. I didn't think that one looked really good. I ground that down a little bit, but I think it did overall a pretty good job. The nice thing about it is once you spray paint these things, they all look good. So we'll go ahead and spray paint it and see how she looks. All right, let's take a look at this mount. All painted up. I think it looks really good. As you can see, all welds look a lot better once you paint them. And these welds, maybe not perfect, but they will last forever, pretty much. Again, all kinds of props to Harbor Freight. They're making some really cool stuff with this Badland ZXR 12,000 winch. I bought this. They didn't pay for this. So I'm not getting paid anything for doing this, but I would say that the winch works pretty well for the application that we're using it in. So we got this from Harbor Freight, the winch. We got this rack right here, which allows us to put it into any kind of like a truck receiver, and you can see that works on there pretty clean. And what's really nice is since the way I welded this up, I can put it into the bottom one or the top one. I've also got a little D-ring I'm going to put in the top to basically secure our tires down in the back. But anyway, I think it came out pretty good. All right, so like I said, I'm not an affiliate for Harbor Freight, so I don't get anything from them for making this video. I just like some of their tools, and I think that their quality is getting better, and you can tell, I think they're testing at like 3 different facilities out there. And you can see it in the quality. I think that winch is awesome, and I also like their welder. So far, it's been pretty good. As we put that welder through a longer term test, before I go and tell anybody to go out and buy it, I'm gonna test that thing and see how it really works, especially out there in the field. And with that, we are taking this thing again out to the field. We're going out to Ensenada, and in a couple days we will drive 1,227 miles down to La Paz. Imagine that. We're going to be going basically from Dallas to San Diego on the gnarliest roads you've ever seen. I hope you will consider following us for that. If you want to, you can go to www.ntdracing.com, and right there we'll have a link where you can track either us on the SCORE website on their live stream video, or we'll also have another site called Spot Wallet where you can see what we're doing with our chase trucks and also with the race truck out there live on the race. We're going to try to do some live streaming also, and I hope you will consider following us for that. Also, maybe leaving a like and subscribe for this video. Leaving a comment always helps. Ringing the bell for notification of future episodes. I'll see you in the next couple days down in Mexico. Take care of yourself. All right, welcome to this edition of Dave fumbling through Fusion 360. So I'm going to make some brackets to go on the side of that trailer hitch mount to basically shore it up, and I'm going to put little extra pieces on it because I want to be able to use it as another mounting point. And so I'm going to put a hole in there so I can put a hook through it. So you know what, I'm just going to start right on the center origin because I don't have a better plan. Let's go rectangle. I always use the center rectangle. I start over here in the center, and let's make it just 7 inches by 7 inches. And that'll be about the size of this thing. Now it's going to be kind of a rectangle, or sorry, a triangle, and it's going to be bent also. So I'm going to bend it about the 3-inch point. So starting here, let's go 3 inches down. There's 3. And I'm drawing a construction line there. Hopefully I'm drawing a construction line, and then drawing a construction line all the way across also. And that'll be just kind of my reference for where I'm going to bend this thing over. From there, I want to put a hole just somewhere in here. And to put like your standard ratchet strap through there, it's about just under 1 inch wide is how wide that thing is. So I figure if I put in a 1.5 inch hole, and maybe 1.3 makes a little more sense. Not 0.3. Let's change that to 1.3. And then I might even be able to move it just a little bit closer up to the corner of where this thing is going to go so that you can, sometimes it's tough to hook a ratchet strap over something if it's too far away from the edge of the hole. I think that will be pretty good. I'm going to put another circle around this, and we'll just make it tangential as best we can to that one. And then I'll give us something to make our lines off of. I don't know. Let's go from here down to, say, I don't know. Let's go over here. That looks good enough. And then I'm going to say make this line tangential to that line. And let's make, I think that's going to be all right the way it is. I kind of like that. All right, I'm going to cut some things off here. I'm going to cut this off and that off. I'm going to cut this top off. I don't need it. Doesn't matter. That's there. That is irking me just a little bit. That's fine, the way it is. Okay, so this piece is basically going to fold down. So I'm going to be welding across here. So what I want to do is just give myself somewhere to escape out of that. I don't want to do that. Give myself somewhere to put just some rosette welds. So let's go ahead and turn back on the construction lines. I'm going to do rectangle, center rectangle, just somewhere down here. And that's going to be pretty good. And I'm going to go hotkey C is going to bring up my circles. I'm going to turn off construction lines. And let's just go 1/2 inch circles for rosette welds. 0.5. Let's go 0.5 and 0.5. And right here, this we'll put a 5th one in there. Might as well. Doesn't cost nothing. All right, so there's the part. I got to cut some more stuff off here. I'm going to cut that off, and that one off. And then this isn't the smoothest corner in the world, so let's radius between this and this just to make it look prettier. There we go. There, so there's my part. Now I want to bend it in my press brake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here. I'm going to give myself a circle. I'm going to say a 0.2. And what that will do is when I plasma cut it in my Langmuir Systems Crossfire XR, it's going to put little nicks in there, and that will make it so that when I put it then into my press brake, I will be able to just identify where that basically 90 degrees is. It'll make it easy for me to line it up in the press brake, in other words. So there we go. I'm going to cut that off. And there's the part we're going to cut. All right, let's hotkey E for extrude. We're going to extrude this part, and it's going to be 0.187 for 3/16 inch steel. There's our part we're going to make. All right, let's go ahead and go to manufacture, setup. You know what? I got to go back to design because I want to make 2 of these. So let's move it. Let's select this one to move. Let's create a copy. Let's move it over here. Let's spin it 180 degrees. And then now we can kind of nest it ourselves over here. So there it is. Now it's nested. Now we got 2. Hit enter on that. Now I can go ahead and cut it. Manufacture. I'm going to go setup. Let's select both of these. And I always generally pick, and it doesn't matter what you do, but some people pick different points. I pick that top left point because that's the way I work through my sheets. It might not be the best way to do it, but that's the way I do it. And I'll call this Harbor Freight hitch bracket. All right, there we go. There's my part. And now let's go to cut it. I am going to select my tool. I'm still using the Razor Weld 45. This thing has been awesome. And one of the things that I've learned is while I've been using this is that it cuts with the machine torch. I don't know, maybe it just seems like it cuts a lot faster. So usually I cut 3/16 at 50 inches. Let's go up to 60 inches and see if it'll cut it. Let's do a lead in at 50 and a lead out at 50. Just kind of making numbers up here a little bit. I'm probably pretty close. Pick these contours. And then, you know what? Some guy told me that he was using a lead in and lead out radius. And all these circles, I could probably put a 0.2 on there. And let's see if that will work. And I'm going to enter right here. I'm going to enter right down here. Let's see if that changes the nicks that I was getting on lead and lead out. As you can see, I made those lead in and lead outs too big because you see I don't have any tool paths here. So I got to go back to cutting again, kind of start over. At least that information is still there. But what I do have to change is if I'm going to do this lead in a 0.2, I probably need to change this lead in distance down to 0.05 or something and make it a lot smaller. And then I can do my entry and my exit there. And I bet you now it'll pick up those holes that I didn't hit before. Boom, there it is. So you can watch it if you want as it goes through and animates how it's going to cut. You can speed it up a little bit so it goes a little faster. And you can watch how the tool is going to work through there. One of the neat things about you watching it like this is you can see, oh, geez, you know what? Once it goes over that thing, you can watch its track and goes, if this one tips up, it might actually hit the tool. So you know, hey, I better watch it to make sure it doesn't tip it up. Or what you can do is maybe even change your lead and lead out to somewhere else so you don't have the problem with the tip up. So let's go ahead and make the G code. The pierce delay, you know, I was using half a second before, and for the 1/8 inch, I've gone down to 0.05. Let's try it. Let's try 0.05, and we'll go with that again. We'll do the for the pierce delay, and I will save that. Let's go down to my XR, get it full of water, and cut this part.